Hello and welcome to Cinemondo's House of the Dragon episode with our special guest Chad. Woo! That's a
I'm
painting.
here. I'm in the house.
You are, and you have a painting behind you that you did. That's very cool.
I did, and you're in it.
Has no relation to House of the Dragon, but it's still cool. So
it's our House of the Dragon.
That's right, our House of the Dragon. We have so many helicopters flying over. I feel like we have dragons flying over. So Chad's filling in for Mark, who had to work. So he's helping out with our recaps. So give him a warm welcome, everyone. Yay. So, boy, I'll say this last episode 7. Woo! Yeah, turn it up the volume. I'm telling you that.
Yeah.
We're going to show a quick recap with the trailer so that we might make some comments during it, but we wanted to just refresh everyone on it and get a few scenes in there. So we're going to take a quick look. You ready?
Go for
Here
it.
we go.
What is this brief mortal life, if not the pursuit of legacy? We play an ugly game.
If you are to be a strong queen, your subjects must fear you.
Fire is such strange power. Everything that House Targaryen possesses is owed to it.
Someone stole Vhagar.
There is a debt to be paid. This is the highest of treasons.
I promise you, in time, you and I together will prevail.
Now they see you as you are.
All right.
So there's some stuff missing out of that trailer.
A lot missing. They didn't give away a lot.
Are we allowed to talk about any of that? Or?
Yeah, we're talking. This is a recap, man. Spoilers.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Cool.
So the main thing about this, so we see the funeral. We saw that funeral where they're committing the bodies to the sea because that's his jam. That's why he's called the Sea Snake. So that was Matt Smith, Damon's wife she sacrificed herself to the dragon because she was having a tough birth and was probably going to kill them both anyway. So she wanted to go out like a warrior. She was badass. I was sad to see her go.
Yeah.
So Amand, he's the little brat. I mean, the child that really wants a dragon. And, all the kids are very antagonistic between, Alicent and Rhaenyra's kids are very antagonistic because technically Rhaenyra's kids have more status, but they're not legit.
Yeah, that's right.
So Alicent is thinking my kids are going to be the real heirs because they're actually legit.
Right. And they look legit.
They look legit. And they're total assholes, just like you'd expect a prince to be.
Yes, especially a 12-year-old prince.
Oh, yeah. So there's only one of them that doesn't have a dragon, and he's very mad about that. And so he decides, you know what, I'm going to get my own dragon. So he goes and steals Laena's dragon from her daughters.
Which is the oldest dragon.
The oldest, most powerful dragon, Vhagar. And it's like,
he almost dies doing it, though. I was hoping for flying. Like it's not even so much he was going to get, fired, but literally
fall off. He wasn't a good rider, not at first.
No, he was hanging literally by the ropes.
And it's almost like the dragon was like messing with him a little bit.
yeah, totally.
I think he was.
Yeah.
So this dragon was just minding his own business, sleeping on the beach, and little brat comes up there and just goes, I'm going to ride you. And it's just like, I don't know. And then it's like, okay, I guess I have to. So basically now the dragon is bonded to him. Like he's basically claimed the dragon by being able to fly it, not fall off. That was kind of the bargain dragons have.
It's like stealing a neighbor's Aston Martin, but you don't keep it. And the cops can't do anything. They're like, well, we can't do anything. He drove it, so now he owns it.
I drove it and I got home with no one catching me, so I guess it's mine now.
Right.
So fun ass. So Amon gets back and he comes walking in like he's just like the shit, and all the kids are like, what the hell? And that's what's our dragon. He's like, too bad, it's mine now. So they all attack him. And it gets ugly, and he was beating that one little kid severely, and then the kid fights back and stabs him in the eye, and he loses an eye.
Yeah,
it's all fun and games. So someone loses an eye.
It was totally deserved, by the way.
Totally. It was self-defense. Yeah. That kid was getting beat up, and so it is pretty nasty. Though it was a big cut, and that's one thing about Game of Thrones and House of Dragons. They do not mind committing violence against children, which it's bad. But in a way, we admire it because it's a line a lot of people don't cross. So you never really feel any suspense when there's kids on screen because nothing bad will happen because that's just not how it works, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I have some crazy hair going on. It's gonna. So then there's the showdown of Alicent and Rhaenyra, who are like, why is my child the one sitting here without an eye? And her kid, did it. It's like eye for an eye, literally. So she almost, pulls a move and tries.
Which sucks because he got the dragon, which is almost, in that world worth an eye because, that gives you such ultimate power.
Right. And that's exactly what he tells his mom. He goes, Mom, it was worth it. I've got a dragon now. And not only a dragon, one of the best dragons. So then, you don't want her kids to win because they're just jerks. Right. Title jerks.
I mean, dragons are basically they're like a nuclear arsenal at this time.
Exactly.
If you have the dragons, nobody can mess with you. You're impossible.
Yeah. And he blurts out about how they're just bastards. Like he says it out in front of the whole court, when they're having this argument. So it's like now it's out in the open. Rhaenyra looks like an asshole because she has a bunch of brunette kids who are clearly not legitimate. And a husband who's just AWOL. We don't know where he is. He's just out gallivanting around. He's never home, right? He does come home and he's feeling kind of bad about it. He kind of talks to her and says, I've been a terrible husband. And she's like, yeah, pretty much. It's like, we had a deal, but it's starting to be awkward.
Yeah, it's the deal that's not sustainable. I mean, especially in that world where appearances are everything, especially when you have to have offspring.
Yeah.
That's when it gets real more difficult.
That's the part where, because she was on board with it because she wanted to have her own games. She was okay with it and they made that deal. But now the seams are starting to show because now people are doubting, the marriage are doubting legitimacy of the children. It's like, it's all becoming a big mess that Rhaenyra's engineered from the very beginning.
So they come up with a good plan though.
They do.
Yeah. It's a nice little trick.
It's a nice little trick, but also, the trick came about because we had one of these great weird Game of Thrones scenes where they're showing nighttime and it actually seems like it's night and you can't really see anything. So that's where, Daemon and Rhaenyra hook up on the beach. They have a romantic tryst on the beach and they kind of plan like, I should have married you because it would have been more legitimate. I would have had kids that were heirs to the throne if I'm the queen. It's like, but I didn't. But now what do we do? Because I'm still married. And so they're trying to figure out a way that then they're both on board that he marry her niece, his niece.
Right.
So it's that Targaryen thing. They all were, that's why they all said they were crazy, is that they're all like incestuous relations. So the blood was pure. That was the whole thing. Right. In fact, Rhaenyra probably did everyone a favor by not sleeping with,
kind of what England did 1,000 years ago.
Exactly. It's not a good idea. Yeah. So we have that. So they're engineering singing, like you said, they come up with a great trick, which was
to fake the husband's death.
But we didn't know that at the time.
No, we didn't know. We thought
which was a great trick.
And he was able to sneak off with his boyfriend.
Right.
We kind of got a hint of it because Damien comes up to the boyfriend and says, "Hey, I need you to do something for me." But we think that he's asking the boyfriend to kill.
Yeah. And that's exactly how it plays out. Like he's saying, he's come in there and he's going to kill. Right. So
and you buy it because in that world, that once again, that guy's getting access to that kind of power. You're like, oh, okay, that's believable. I'll kill this guy.
So Laenar's just kind of hanging out in the castle by the fire, just like, hey, just kicking back. And his boyfriend was walking. He's like, what are you doing here? Like, because, they're not supposed to meet in the castle because they're supposed to be discreet. It wasn't supposed to be happening.
And they had a witness there. They had a kid there.
They had the kid there who saw it all go down. So then he's just like, I'm here to kill you. And he brings out, the boyfriend brings out a sword. They have a big, terrible fight. And the next thing we know, we're cutting to his body. He's in the fireplace burning up. Clearly the boyfriend killed him. And we're like, fuck, he really killed him. This is terrible. Oh my God. Oh my God.
The fire.
Right. And then,
who's a salt they got to put in the fire? That's what I want.
Well, yeah. So then we cut to a scene of the boyfriend rowing away in a boat. And then you realize he's in a boat with Laenar and Laenar's alive. And it was all a big fake out, which is a fake out against us and everyone else in the castle. Right. So the mother thinks that Laenar's dead, which is kind of mean, but
it's the only way it was going to work. And it was the only way that Laenor would have a life that he wanted to live.
That's right. They all get to live their life. And they even talked about, we wanted to have the lives we wanted, but now it's not working. So we got to figure something out. So Laenor was fine with leaving. He didn't want to be royalty. He didn't want to be in any of this. Now he can go off and have his life, which I hope happens because he was a cool character and he seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah.
And then, of course we have to, think about here's, Damon, who's vicious enough to just go in and kill some innocent person to take the place of Laenar in the fireplace. Like he's just like whatever it takes, you know.
Yeah. Well, there's 1,000 stooges in that kingdom that they can just grab and kill and nobody's gonna notice.
It's so sad. I know.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty intense moment. I mean, there was a lot of, it's really heating up. I mean, oddly, the king is even still alive. I don't know how this is possible.
There's also some real big losers in this episode. And those are the bastard children, because now they're now that Damien and her Rhaenys are married and they have a kid, they're totally sidelined. It's done for them.
And they even kind of foreshadowed it in earlier episodes where the kids will probably be killed. And they mentioned it in reference to Alicent's kids, because once she's queen, those have to go. So they could probably easily be the target. But I begin to wonder now, like you're saying, her kids will probably be the target because they need to get their legitimate. I'm saying legitimate, not like I believe it, but how they're talking.
Right.
Their Targaryen child will be the next in line, not the brunette.
Yes. Out of the three sets of kids, they're the lowest on the totem pole.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And what's going to happen with Laena's kids? You know, it's like the sea snake's kid. You know, the granddaughters. It's like it's like Damon's like, gotta go. Sorry, it's been nice.
Out of there so they can have a life, because you're right, probably everybody gets wiped out.
And there's that great scene too where they're all crying because their mother died. The opening scene, they're up on the rooftop and they're crying, and he's just kind of walking around like, I don't know. He wasn't even like comforting them. He's like, that's.
You talking about Damon?
Yes.
He was just leaning. He was leaning.
He was leaning. He kind of walked away. He was like,
at the ocean.
Their mother's dead. Yeah. It was tragic. Whatever.
I thought it was funny too that they commit them to the sea, but the sea is just dumping them right there. They don't take a ship and go out to sea and actually dump them. They dump them out to shore, so you can just go snorkeling and see a bunch of coffins.
Snorkeling.
I mean, they're right offshore. They're like, they're like,
it's so you can visit. It's just like going to a graveyard. They're right under the ground.
They're barely head high. I mean, I'm 6'2". I could probably stand and still breathe and be amongst the dead.
That's true. I think that's kind of the point, though. You can go and you can just see, because their coffins are made of stone. It looked like, so they're probably completely like it's sealed up. So you can
one good hurricane comes along though, and they're inland.
One good hurricane, one climate change in Westeros.
Yeah, and they're inland. They're in the desert.
So this is heated up. We have a lot of pieces coming into play here. You know, people are getting taken out, clearing the way for what looks like a Daemon Rhaenyra rule. No idea if that's how it's going to play out, but there's no way the king can live through another episode.
No,
he looks terrible.
Yeah.
Poor
he's
guy.
Gonna have to start, like, his nose is going to fall off. His ears going to fall off.
He's sad because he's a really nice. He seems like a nice guy, but he is not a good leader because he's letting a lot of bad people take control, and it's not good. We even have the original hand back because he engineered that by getting Harwin and the other hand killed. So we have Alicent. You know, these people are ruthless. So we're getting to know them better.
For sure.
So there it is. Let us know what you guys think. Predictions. Be sure and put predictions down there. And we will see you next time for our next House of Dragon review. Thanks, Chad, for filling in.
Of course. Always.
Bye.
Bye.
There, you did it.
There, see?
Not so bad.
I'm actually getting some lunch now. I'm kind of hungry.
I'm starving. I'm going to do it too. All right. I'll see you up here.
Okay.
Bye.